Hi, so this is Sweets, and this is my very first video that I've ever done for my art journal stuff. So you might know me from online. I have a blog, sweetredclover.blogspot.com, and I'm on Facebook and now the YouTubes apparently. So wow. But anyways, my name's Amy, and most of my art friends call me Sweets. And the reason I'm doing this video is that I was asked to participate in a blog hop, and yay for me, I'm very excited. I'm very excited about that. Feel super thrilled. So anyways, all the information for the blog hop is going to be on my blog, and possibly, if I can figure out how to do it, because I am so not technologically advanced, it will be below the YouTube video as well, hopefully. So all that information, who invited me to the blog hop, and the people that I'm going to invite, or that I invited, is also going to be below there, and anything else I can think of, because as you'll find out, I talk a lot. So anyways, the first question for the blog hop, there's 4 questions. The first question is, what am I working on right now? And I'm going to slowly pan over to the stack of journals, which is some of what I am working on right now. I am totally a multitasker, and I make, in one sitting, the least I ever work on is 2 or 3 journals, because I hate to wait for things to dry. I'm super impatient, but I have a heat gun. I'm also lazy. I hate using the heat gun just because I'm lazy, and it's so hard to push a button, you know? So I work on a lot of stuff at once. And what I'm going to do is, I figured it would be much more interesting than you just watching me gesture, because I talk with my hands, is flip through my art journals, some of my art journals, which are all works in progress. I don't think I have a single art journal done yet, which is ridiculous. So that you can see some of my work, going back from the very beginning of when I art journaled. So anyways, the answer to that question, what am I currently working on? The 2 things that I make sure to get done every week are the Documented Life project and Journal 52, as well. Documented Life is at arttothefifth.squarespace.com. And it is 5, like the number, not fifth, spelled out. So just so you know. And Journal 52 is journal52.com. And you can check those out. They're really great, fun resources, and have really nice communities of people. If you'd like to get started in art journaling, they're really nice places to start, really friendly and super cool people there. So, so that's what I make sure I get done. Those 2 things every week. And then, aside from that, I do my own, whatever I feel like making, as well. But those Journal 52 and Documented Life are my absolute doing every week. It's not even a question. And, so the next question is, that was the easy question. Then, there's 4 questions. 3 of them I wrote books about. I'm not going to lie to you. I'll actually show you. I have this huge, I started writing the blog post and it was so long. So I decided to make this video. That's the real reason, so I could talk more. That's so sad. It's true. It's sad and true. So the next question is, how does my work differ from others of its genre? This is the hardest question for me, because when I first started art journaling, and you'll see it in the pages, I was not good. Probably I might still not be good. It's art to me, but it's not perfect either. But when I first started, I had absolutely no artistic abilities whatsoever. There was no talent anywhere. Anything that I do, it's because I've worked really hard to do it. So when I first started, I knew that if I compared myself to somebody else's work, I would get disappointed and really bitter that it wasn't as good as somebody else's work. That's a big thing for people, I guess, is it's not just me. I'm not the only weirdo that feels like that. That when you see something pretty, you want to do it. You don't want to, you want to be able to do it right away. So for me, I know I'm like that. I know I want to be good now. I can remember saying that multiple times when I first started. I wanted to be good now. I want to be better now. And it takes effort. And so anyways, I told myself in the beginning, instead of wasting time saying, I wish my work could look like this person's, I would instead say to myself, and these are some of my beginning pages that you're looking at, that I made this piece today. Oh, there you go. There it is. So I made this piece today, and here's what I like about it, and here's what I don't like about it. And then I would take what I didn't like and say, I think I can do better than that, and I'm going to try. And that's what I did. And so that's why I have a hard time with how does my work differ, because I try not to compare my stuff to other people's. I still do. I can look to other people for inspiration, and like acknowledge that I totally love how somebody made something, and acknowledge that my attempts will probably never ever look like that. And that's okay. Because it's my art, it's not their art. So anyways, more recently I've discovered that I can acknowledge that, and so I was like, okay, you can do this. And I was really committed for the blog hop to figure out why. So that's why I have the stack of journals, my Stacko journals, and that's not even all of them, out, was because I was looking through them trying to figure out what made my stuff different. And the big thing that stuck out to me at first was that there are a whole lot of faces in my journal, and in all my journals. It's just I really liked making faces, and I really wanted to be better at it. And so I got this obsession. It was the very first thing that I ever decided. I don't know why. I just loved the idea of being able to draw a person. I don't know why. And so there's a lot of faces, but that seemed like a really bad answer. So I kept thinking and realized that I am almost never done with a journal page until there are some kinds of words on it. Whether it's a quote or song lyrics or my own whatever I need to get out that day, or sometimes I say something really smart and I like to document it as proof that I actually said something really smart. So there's almost always words, and it's usually in my horrible 12-year-old boy handwriting. So also seemed like a really not good answer to how my work was different than other people's, because other people make faces and other people use quotes. And so I had so much trouble. I actually had to ask some people online, and I'll tell you that in a minute. But as I was flipping through the journals looking for something to say about how my work was different from other people's, what really stuck out to me was how personal my journals are. They represent a lot of mental and emotional work for me. And it's kind of like on the brain splatter on the page. And that is really gory, and it totally sounds like an episode of like Bones or CSI or whatever. But it's kind of an accurate description. That when I look at my art journal pages, I see a lot of growth. As an artist, like, yes, my work did improve. I'm better now than when I started. Still not great. Still, maybe not even good in some people's eyes. In my eyes, I try. But anyways, so not as an artist necessarily by itself, but I see growth as a human being, and that it's super personal for me. And I'm going to talk about why it's super personal for me in a minute. But the thing that really surprised me in having the blog is that other people could identify with feelings that I express in my art. They could look at something I did and say, I feel like that too. And that made me feel really happy. That I wasn't the lone weirdo, I guess. Still a weirdo, but I'm not the only one. So yeah, it made me really happy, when people would comment that they could identify with how I felt. So anyway, so like I said, I had to ask some people, my art friends online, what their opinion was. What did they think? Because I wasn't sure I had a good answer. And surprisingly, a lot of them agreed with me. And I'm going to read the quotes off of my my cheat sheet computer blog post thingy. And these are quotes from some of my friends. Terry said that your faces have distinct characters that draw you directly to them. And so thank you, Terry. And Jackie Mahoney said, I think your pages have stories to tell and simple and direct. Your words or music help tell what's going on. So if I get inspired by, like I said, I get inspired by song lyrics a lot. And if I do, then I will, oh, that girl is so hideous. Sorry you had to see that. I'm ashamed of her. It's probably one of the few things I'm actually seriously ashamed of because she's so ugly. And the funny thing is on the next page over, that is, and I'm so proud of it, that, because it's so much hard work that, that went into that page that I'm, practicing. And so to go from, making that horrible monstrosity to that, it's such a good feeling to have, feeling of accomplishment to have. Sorry, I digress. Anyways, so Jackie, words and music. So, if I get inspired by song lyrics, I try to link to the song that inspired the page, in my blog. And, my friend Pammykins, a couple people mentioned this, about the blog, but I'll read Pammykins. Her name's Pam, but I call her my Pammykins. She said, your characters have character and non-traditional style, and the biggie is that your writing style is crazy, in-depth, and out of the box, which draws the reader in like a spellbinding murder mystery. And like, this is a quote. I did not say that. It makes me laugh every time I read it. It makes me really happy that she said it. But also I'm like, oh, it's like embarrassment. I guess kind of is embarrassment. But I really appreciated that Jackie and Pammykins and some of the other ladies who commented mentioned my blog as part of my art, because it actually really is for me. I'm a person that likes to know why. I need reasons and I need to know the why. There's always a why. And I like to see when other people explain the thoughts behind their pages, I really like that. And it's important to me. So I always, if there's a reason behind, it wasn't just something that I made, there was a reason behind it, I probably get, some people would say too personal, but I get personal on my blog, because I think it's grown to be important to me. The thought behind my art is important to me. And so anyway, so I appreciate that. And what Boo said is kind of along the reasons why the why is important to me is, Boo said, I think part of what makes your art so great is the unique quotes that go along with your drawing. Your art has a lot of deep feeling to it. Your art is a kind of therapy. And Boo was totally 100% right. Right on that. My art really is therapy for me. It's super personal, and it is, I'll talk more about it in a minute, but it really is personal to me. So thanks, Boo, because you were right on. You hit the nail on the head. Art is my therapy, and maybe that's what makes it different, is that other people can afford therapy, and I get, paint and colored pencils and paper, and that's what I have, and I make it work for me. And Tracy, my friend Tracy, said, I think your use of text in your work is always really well matched, and you have a great non-traditional use of color. So, first of all, thank you, ladies, everybody that commented about that when I asked the question. It actually unintentionally was a huge ego boost for me that, everybody thought, liked me enough to answer the question, I guess. And I'm laughing, but I really do appreciate it. My, thank you to all the ladies that answered the question. The online art community for me has been more than I could ever express in words. the ladies that I know just from online, just from doing the art stuff, have been more of a friend to me than I would have ever thought possible, would have ever imagined. And they just have been, they've been with me through all this weird changing that's happened in me because of art journaling. So, I appreciate them so much. And like I said, I was happily surprised, I guess, that I had made a pretty accurate, analysis of my art, that what I saw other people saw too. The only one that really, kind of surprised me was, my friend Tracy, who said that, I have a great non-traditional use of color. And I was really happy that 2 people called my work non-traditional. It made me so happy. I don't know why, but it did. But anyways, Tracy's comment about the color is, and I'm so kind of ashamed to say this, that, I don't, I am super guilty of not paying that much attention to what colors I use. Sometimes I do, but for the most part, I just grab what I grab, and it's, maybe that's what intuitive art is. Maybe that's what people mean when they say intuitive art, is going with your gut. I just kind of grab what I grab. I have to make a concerted effort to think about color because I just grab what I grab. But it made me happy that she called it a great non-traditional use of color because, you know, it don't look like garbage, I guess. Sometimes it does. I don't show those pictures. So anyways, I'm going to go to the next question because I'm going to run out of time. And if this video doesn't upload after all this time, I'll be so sad. The next question is, why do I create what I do? And before I go to that, I just want to say again, definite thank you to the ladies for, answering the question for me. It makes me feel real good, and I wouldn't be where I'm at today, like mentally, or artistically, if it wasn't for them. So thank you again, ladies. So the next question, why do I create what I do? Long story short, I make art that makes me happy. But long story long, I've talked about this, on my blog a lot before. Initially art was a distraction. I was looking for a way to avoid thinking about, a really difficult loss that I had faced. And this is an ironic coincidence. This page is, really strongly about what I'm about to say. This is my friend Leonard. This is my, a page for him. He was, I don't know how to, well, let me start by saying, I do not experience emotions like normal people do. I never have, through my entire life. There is a clinical psychological, doctory name for it, but, basically to explain it, I, didn't have emotions. I understood what emotions were. I understood how I should have felt mentally, but didn't actually feel them. And that might be confusing for some people a little bit, but that's the best way I can describe it is mentally, I understood what emotions were. I understood how I should feel, didn't actually feel them. Any emotion, pretty much. So really good emotion, I guess, really strong repressor of emotions would be, maybe that's more understandable for people. At any rate, my entire life. So when I met Leonard, he changed that completely. The thing that changed it for me and for people like me is, you need validation, and for people like me, validation is not an easy thing to give to that person, because you do not believe it. Someone can tell you that they love you a million times and you don't believe them. You just can't. It's not possible for you. Leonard showed me repeatedly that, that he loved me, that he cared about me. He didn't just tell me, he showed me. And so because of him, I I could open up. It was like somebody opened, Pandora's box, and I suddenly had emotions. Well, Leonard killed himself. He committed suicide. And when that happened, it was not expected. And I don't guess anybody does expect things like that. I'm going to keep flipping so you don't have to just look at that page. Sorry. When Leonard killed himself, these emotions, which I had just found like a normal person, you have emotions your entire life. You have them from the time you're a kid. You learn to control them. It's not, that's normal. That's normal, air quotation marks, because what's normal, but that's normal. Well, I never had that. I didn't have emotions. So when I had these emotions at last, and when Leonard killed himself, it was like this onslaught of emotion in my head constantly. There was no one I could talk to about it, that I felt like I could talk to about it, that would understand me. And these emotions, I couldn't make them stop. It was just one huge tornado of feelings in my head, and I was going crazy. Literally, clinically, put me in the jacket, actually crazy. And so one day I realized I needed to have something that would make me stop thinking. And, as bad as that sounds, it was the only way I could figure, to not be completely crazy, in the bad way, was to have something to distract myself. And I've done creative things, before. Like I think I said, I've written, like poetry, and, I crocheted, and I've done all kinds of stuff. So none of that stuff worked for me. And what I realized was that I needed something that I was interested in enough that I would not quit doing it, but that I was bad enough at that I would have to focus all my attention on doing it. And that's what I came up with was art. I wanted to be good at art. It's something that I've always enjoyed, but never have done myself. And so that's why I started art journaling. And what I found was that I could, all those emotions that were one big ball in my head, I could suddenly separate. I could put something on the page and it would stay on the page. It wouldn't come back as soon as I finished. It would stay on the page, and I could look at it objectively. Because when you never have emotions, you become really good at being a logical thinker. Instead of having emotions and being intuitive, you become really good at logical thinking and analyzing things. So once I could put something on the page, it stayed there, and I was able to look at it, and analyze it objectively. And it was this huge relief. I can't describe how much of a relief it was, for me to discover this. So long story short, all my pages are going to stick together. Sorry, pages. Long story short, I make art that makes me happy. But first, I make art that lets me be sad, angry, jealous, catty, depressed, confused, etc. But I create because it lets me acknowledge my feelings without being overwhelmed by them. And it's something I still work on. I'm still not a professional at it. I still, am a good repressor, I'm a great faker. But the art journal, it lets me, put it on the page. And sometimes the issue is fixable. Sometimes I can do something about it to change the situation. Other times it just makes these feelings manageable, to where it's not this big one ball of every emotion that ever existed, but it makes it into bite-sized pieces, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense. So I make art because it keeps whatever small amount of sanity I have from leaving me completely. And that is very true. So It makes me happy, and it keeps me from going to the insane asylum. I don't know if those are still a thing. The mental hospital there. I don't think they call it an asylum anymore, but it keeps me from going to that mental hospital. So there you go. The last question is, how does your creating process work? Mine is, if it's something I've like Documented Life or Journal 52, where you start out with a prompt, then that's what I do. I start out with a prompt, and I go from there, whatever the prompt is. If it's a use this supply or whatever, then that's what I do. Or if it's a theme, then I try to decide what media would go best with that theme. Other times, if it's for, I'm going to just tell you the long story of, if it's not something I'm doing for a prompt for, almost all of my art starts from, like I talked about before, an emotion that I'm having, or something that I'm having a hard time dealing with. Almost all of it starts at that point. And sometimes I will start out with a quote or a song lyric beforehand that it describes the way I'm feeling, and I'll want to include it in the page. Other times I'll do the page first and go from there. But mostly my creative process is I get a feeling, I have a feeling something's not the way it should be, or whatever, or maybe I'm happy and I want to write, memorialize, or I don't know, pay tribute to the fact that I'm happy. And so I have it in mind. And like I said, I don't easily shake things. So if I'm really happy, then I kind of go manic and talk a lot, which probably is not a surprise, considering how long this video is. But I kind of go crazy, and it becomes a problem. I know it sounds silly, but it's a problem to be too happy for me. It's a legitimate thing, because it's like being on drugs and being too happy. No, very few people are going to understand when I say that you can be too happy, because you just go crazy. You go like super bouncing off the walls crazy. Like I said, being bipolar used to be called manic depressive, where you have these super high highs, but then you have these really low lows. That's kind of what the problem is. The super high highs, not necessarily the problem. It's when that stops. So anyways, whatever the emotion is, I start with that. And like I said, like you have seen probably, a lot of my work has faces, I guess, because it is personal. So they need to have persons in them. And I'll start out with my face on whichever journal that happens to not be wet at that point. I will start there and go forward. There's a lot of really good videos about how to draw faces if you're just starting. I hate to say, because I've paid for classes that were totally worth it and whatever, but before you do that, or if you don't have money to do that, you can find basically everything that you want to know from watching videos for free on YouTube, or on different people's websites with tutorials. Yeah, don't spend money until you're absolutely in love with somebody's work, and then spend the money. Because like I said, a lot of people, even people that have classes that you would pay for, have sorry, this is a weird side note right now, have a free, like fast forward videos. I learned so much from fast forward videos, and I've got to wrap this up because it's going to cut me off soon because I'm talking too much. But anyways, so my creative process, I have the feeling. I will usually draw first, gesso over it, paint because it makes the, what I just made in the background, but I can still see it, so I'll paint over it, if it's the face, I'll paint over the face with some layers of color, shading and all that good stuff, and then I will add my my text and stuff when I'm done. But mostly, I guess this is a hard question too. Actually, like I said, I had problems with 3 of the 4 questions. My creative process is emotion, and it's what I think about. I guess that's the best way to answer it. Not one day I'll show you. I'll make a video and I'll show you my creative process. But the short way to answer it is my creative process starts with emotion, and my entire creative process is getting that emotion out of my head and onto the page so that I don't have to only think about that one certain thing. That's my entire creative process in a nutshell. Whatever media I use, whatever journal I use, if it's, you know, if I do a collage, if I do a painting, if I work, you know, with acrylics or watercolor or colored pencils or whatever, it's all, every single tiny little bit of it, all goes back to, it's an emotion that I need to get out. And whatever I make relates to that. And then it's the words, I guess, you know, the faces, all the faces are the emotions, you know, that's what the faces are. The words are my, my logical brain, my analytical side, making sense of it. So that when I look at the page later, I can remember, you know, this is why I do things this way. This is why I did that. This is how I felt. And the words put it in my brain in a way that I can comprehend, I guess. So maybe that's why I always have faces and words, because they combine the 2 things about me that, the way I was and the way I am. They combine, you know, the, emotional things that I'm new at with the logical thinking that I am, an old hat at, I guess. So that's it in a nutshell. That's probably not a good answer for how does your creating process work, but really that's the only thing I can think of. I'm not going to lie to you. So, yeah, that's pretty much, that's it. I shouldn't really say, yeah, that's it, because this is a 30-minute long video. But that's it. So like I said, if this uploads, and hopefully it will, because 30 minutes of this, you will be seeing me on YouTube or on my blog, sweetredclover.blogspot.com. And come find me and friend me on Facebook, and leave comments on the blog or underneath, and be nice, because like I said, this is my first one. So thank you for going through it with me. Thank you for inviting me to the blog hop, and hopefully please go check out the people that I will link to next Monday for their part. So super happy to talk to you, and thanks for being a part of my creative life. Bye.